because you are held up as this person who continues to provide us.
But those liberals never.
No, fans, man, fans.
Yeah, also fans and liberals never stood in front of the prisons to stop there from being 1 and 3 locked up, or the system that's set up where there's actually not enough legal job opportunities for us to avoid from being locked up. Now you got the Clintons, that's privately owned prisons. You get what I'm saying? It's like everyone, no one is God. Everyone bases their opinions on a group of propaganda-esque images fed to us from the very first cartoon or the very first cereal box that we saw in a grocery store. And our environment, friends, schools, religion, country, music that we listen to, all informs our opinion and what side we're on. We've been herded into an idea of blue or red, right, left. But there's actually a time when we were closer to heaven, when we were 6 months before we learned how to speak, before things got so complicated, where we actually had more in common. All of these things that separate us, it's like when you don't spend time talking to somebody for a long time, you start to build up more and more reasons why you shouldn't be talking to them.
There's anxiety in it, and distance creates that anxiety.
The distance has created anxiety. We are the same human beings. We are gods. It's not man versus machine. Man is the machine. So we are God's imperfect creation because we perish. Go ahead.
So if you're in a situation now where you're able to you want to mend that, you want to bring those things together, starting with the relationships in your life, are you able to do that? With the friendships that have deviated, you talk about the rivalry with Drake, you talk about this public fallout with people who you've shared a really valuable part of your life with, Jay-Z, people like that. Are you able to mend that? Is this putting you on a path of recovery in personal relationships as much as it is in your own relationship with yourself?
Absolutely. You cannot be in service to God and be mad at your brother.
Have you started that process?
Next door. Yeah, I go to Drake's house. I walk over there with no security and just leave my phone number. Here's my cell. But I'm not trying to ring the doorbell and say, "Oh, you gotta come out." Sorry, right now he might be busy. He got a studio in there. He probably, you're just gonna think that Drake is recording at all times and stuff like, man, he probably recording. No, man, he probably recording. So.
But you would like to see that. You'd like to see that.
Yo, man, can I talk? He in the booth.
Always in the booth.
You know, rappers about, I stay in the booth. I don't leave the booth.
Speaking of the booth,
I put my bedroom in the booth.
Sleep in the booth.
I sleep in the booth.
Sleep in the booth. I wake up, I have bars for breakfast.
Yeah. So I'll go leave my cell and things like that. It's like, with Jay, I love all of these people, but you got to know there's a lineage of Jay to Ye to Drake. It's, this person is your idol. Then you get to know him. Then you be friends. Then you turn to frenemies. Then you turn to enemies. And then you got to bring back the positive energy. But that is the lineage of like rap kings, and inspirers, because Jay was my biggest, inspiration. By the time I got to New York, when we had the throwbacks, I'm gonna tell you, Big Boy had the throwbacks first. In the, what was it? It's called Sky High. I think he had the Astros. And then he had another one I think he might have had in the Watch for the Hook video. He might have had it, but Mitchell and S had a little stand at Lenox. And I would be going down there doing beats for Jermaine Dupri. And I pulled up to the stand and grabbed a throwback. And we started getting a lot of throwbacks. And I'd pull up to, baseline. And they were like, I pull up with my throwback. And like Jay's like, man, that's nice. Like that. Then I pull up the next day, I got another throwback. Then 4 days, they say, what, you stay in Atlanta? And then Don C was using this thing that we hadn't heard of called the internet, selling jerseys, online. So he been had a store like RSVP.
It's crazy. That was like, think about that for a second. Think about that probably feels like a drop in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
How innocent that time was back then.
Yeah.
Who you were back then versus who you are now. And the journey you've been on to get to this place, that's a life. What happens to all the work? What happens to all the music? What happens to the songs that we still love? What happens to those?
Y'all can listen to them.
Sure, but what happens to those from your perspective?
And
thank you for that, and we will. But what happens to those?
I'm going back. Y'all about to get the George Lucas versions of all those when he added all them robots. It's gonna be like, you're such a lovely God. I love it. That's like when George Lucas took the old songs.
Right.
I mean the old clips.
There's a church in the wild.
Right. Yes. Right. Yeah.
Literally. Reversion.
Literally, yes. You're about to get them new versions. You got to get those old versions. We are removing Jesus' wife from I went to the Vatican and there was a Raphael painting, and the person said this blacked out part is where Raphael painted Jesus' wife. And the Pope was so mad that he sent people to kill him, and Raphael died of a cold before they could kill him. And that was when I was saying about when they wanted to tear the domes down. I was like, I was gonna tear it down before y'all. But
there's no win in that.
But I was gonna tear them down because I was just experimenting anyway. They think they did something. They think, oh man, we made you tear down. I was experimenting with them domes anyway.
Yeah.
We're just trying to we were just getting proportions. We're seeing what it felt like. We took the domes up and we would eat there. And we started having, things like, you want some 3,000 years? Or Larry, you'd say that was 3,000 years ago. We stepped into, we were eating by the fire.
How proprietary can you be in an environment where you serve the Lord? And I want to bring up a specific example, this idea of...
That is such a good question.
This idea of trademarking Sunday service, which ultimately is a term, you have created an environment which is communal and belongs to everyone. It isn't just a Kanye West show, but there's the idea of ownership over that term. How does proprietary behavior exist in a time of ultimate servitude?
It isn't. Everything is for God. And we can receive donations. That's the only way that it can work.
So the money you make from the merch is in donation to the cause?
I mean, I would say so. I've, spent, if tithing is 10%, Sunday service has definitely cost me 20% at this time. But let me just make sure. But it's an iteration where we haven't completely solved it. So we're praying on it. We're praying for the answer in God's time for me to be able to work only for the church. That, you want to say my 20-year vision? That's my 20-year vision. Everything that I do is for the church. Even designing a shoe for the church. Even all the shoe names, our shoe names be like John 3:16 instead of 350s. Now, everything is for the church. That's a vision that I have, to be able to be an innovator and
Christian innovator.
Christian